everybody, and welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. Today, I am so fangirling excited right now because I have Vanessa Spina, aka Ketogenic Girl. She is the host of KetogenicGirl.com. She has her own podcast, Fast Keto. She has written the book Keto Essentials. She has a huge Instagram following, and in the midst of all of that, she has somehow found time to go back to school at the University of Toronto, where she is studying biochemistry. You amaze me. I'm so excited that we've had the privilege of meeting here. Well, we've done a podcast together, which was awesome. And now, yes, and now we're meeting face to face on computer, but we also hung out in Colorado together. So the story was my husband and I were in Denver, Colorado, and I didn't realize that I was going to have to walk through some pretty sketchy area to get to a barbecue place. I had on my heels, a bright red dress, and went trompsing through like the most skeezy area I've ever been in my life as a little Southern girl to have barbecue with Vanessa and Amber O'Hearn. And it was worth every bit of my near-death experience. And I was literally proposed to by some creeper under a bridge.
I didn't get a proposal that day. I mean,
too bad for you.
That was pretty amazing. And neither did your husband. He didn't get a proposal either. He walked under the same bridge. So
right. Well, anyway, it was awesome in Colorado. And what I haven't gotten to really talk to you about is how a woman like yourself that appears to be so naturally thin, totally like have it all. How on earth did you come to be keto and now carnivore? Tell me your story, please.
Yeah, Kelly, I mean, I had such an amazing time with you in Denver. I think about it all the time. And that was like the most fun, enjoyable, relaxing, like 3-4 hours. I think the time felt like it flew by in about 5 minutes. Yeah. I just felt like I was hanging out with sisters. So I hope we get to do it again. Not before too long and often, but yeah, I came to all of this from my own personal health struggles. I had always been overweight and dealt with carrying extra weight on my body. I dealt with lipedema in my lower body. So all my weight I carried on my body was mostly on my lower half. And I had a lot of pain, inflammation, and discomfort. And I just felt trapped in my body. I hated being in my body every day. And all I wanted was just to be energized, healthy, and feel alive and feel fully expressed in who I am in this body. And I wanted that so badly. And I tried every single diet out there on the face of the earth. I read every single diet book. I tried everything to find my way to health. And I finally found it through keto and through science. I really just followed the breadcrumbs that were being led to me, the pork rind crumbs that were being left to me to pick up. And science really led me here, education, and many of us are nutritionally illiterate, and learning all of this stuff is what led me to find this. And I was able to lose all the extra weight that I wanted. I no longer have any pain in my body at all, any inflammation, and I feel amazing. Like every day I feel so happy, and so many other things came. This mental clarity, mental sharpness also came, but also extremely stable moods. Like I was always this up and down, up and down. I always blamed it on my hormones and my cycle, time of the month, and like just being a woman, we're so hysterical. Like, no, we're not. We don't have to be. Like my mood and everything follows my blood sugar. It's just steady as a rock. And I feel like I can handle anything. And it's just such an amazing part of health, is like mental health too, that came from it, and emotional health, and like just feeling good and stable and happy and energized all the time is possible.
Oh, I love that. I've heard you talk so many times, and it's a true, I think I remember you saying you were a vegetarian for like 17 years?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and vegan for part of that, because I was chasing health, and I was listening to all of the headlines and I was reading all the magazines and the books, and I wasn't doing the research myself. And all of this stuff is really manipulated and contorted. And when you actually go to the science, even when I studied nutrition in the past, a lot of the information was biased. That's why I went back to study biochemistry, because you cannot alter that. It's the truth, it's a science, it's fact. And that's where you can find all the information, as opposed to just relying on headlines and studies that are manipulated and tell us wrong information.
Science is really the reason I brought you here. I hope everybody truly knows you are not just a pretty face with an amazing story. You're a brainiac. You're such a geek, and I love that. I wish I had so much more of that for myself. I mostly just tell my story and try to be charming enough that no one realizes I don't really know what I'm talking about. But you really do know what you're talking about. So I want to talk, the main topic today, I wanted to hear your story straight from you, but then I also want to talk about vegetables, which carnivores don't talk about much because we don't touch them. I have not eaten, the only way I've touched a vegetable is to help serve some up to my children. In over 10 years, I haven't eaten any of them. One of the main things I get asked is, how am I still alive? Like, people literally cannot believe I'm telling the truth because they don't think you can be alive without fruits or vegetables, without plants. And I don't eat any, and I know you don't either, right? Right now. I know you do keto, you've done carnivore. You can go pretty easily between both. Is that correct?
I've been strict carnivore, and not just beef and water, but just animal products only for the past year and a half now. But I just leave it like open-ended. So I'm like, if I wanted to have an avocado or some sauerkraut or something, I would. I just don't. I like
that. I mean, that's what we're all doing anyway. People will say to me, you can't have that. I'm like, well, I mean, I could, right?
Yeah.
I could. We're not boxed in. I don't want an avocado, but it's not like, Charles Washington's going to smack it out of my hand all of a sudden. All right, so my question is, what's an antioxidant anyway? Because people are pretty tore up about the fact that they think I'm not getting any. Does it matter? How am I getting them if I don't know. What's an antioxidant?
Yeah, this is the story that goes back to when you're in high school and you hear about these long-term sea voyagers who got scurvy because they didn't have vitamin C. What we now know is that a lot of that was because they didn't have access to fresh meat. So there's two really important concepts. There's antioxidants. And the reason that we need antioxidants is because of something called free radicals. So a lot of people have probably heard of free radicals. They're caused by reactive oxygen species, or ROS. So there's processes that occur in the body very naturally. So every day when our mitochondria or cells are making energy for us, there's these byproducts that create unpaired electrons. So a free radical, a normal molecule has all of its electrons paired. And a free radical has some that are unpaired, that has it, like, is missing an electron.
Okay.
So it's called a free radical, and it can cause damage in the body. But an antioxidant is one that has extra electrons. So it'll donate one electron to that free radical so that it makes it less dangerous to be circulating in the body. So the whole reason we breathe is so we can do this process of oxidation to make fuel for our cells. But about 0.1 to 2% of the molecules in that process, they'll turn into superoxides, and so they become free radicals. And that's something we call oxidative stress. And oxidative stress doesn't just happen in that process, it also happens from environmental pollutants. So toxins in our environment, tobacco, smoke, xenobiotics, all these things, even UV damage. The reason it's bad for us, or we get DNA mutagens, is because it can cause this oxidative stress in the body. So antioxidants, the main ones we know of are vitamin C. You hear a lot about beta carotene, but the master antioxidant is actually glutathione. And this is the most important one that we need in the body. It engages in everything from cellular repair to donating these extra electrons to free radicals. It lowers inflammation. It helps with people who have insulin resistance. It's the most important, the master antioxidant. The way that glutathione is formed is it has 3 amino acids. So it's a tripeptide.
Okay.
It's 3 amino acids that are connected together by chemical bonds. And those 3 are glycine, cysteine, and glutamate.
Okay.
So those are the 3 amino acids. Now, where do we get amino acids?
I have no idea. Tell me.
It's all from protein.
Okay.
So every time you eat any kind of protein, any kind of egg, fish, chicken, beef, any animal food, you get amino acids. You get those amino acids. There's one of the 3 that's a little bit harder to get, and that one is glycine. But you know where you get that one from?
No.
Connective tissue from fatty, gelatinous cuts of beef.
Oh, well, that's my favorite. I'm in luck. That's great.
Yes. I remember at the barbecue place we went to, you asked the guy for the extra fatty ribs.
Yes.
And you and I were both lined up there, and I think I got 1.5 pounds of meat or something. And I heard this guy behind me, and he's like, "Where are you going to put all that, little lady?"
People are so confused by us, I'm sure. I mean,
Yes.
I'll ask for the most untrimmed cuts that they have. But you're saying that's awesome because that's where it's actually this amino acid that's part of this trifecta, the hero. We need this, so that's a great thing to do. You don't want to just live off of, the rabbit starvation comes when you're eating only like chicken breast. Like, we need some fat. Like,
yes.
For scientific reasons, this is important. We need fat. Yes?
Yes, we need the fat. We need the gelatinous cuts of meat. Some of my favorite ones, I love to get ones that are really collagen rich. I love to eat beef cheeks and oxtail and, all those stews and things that you make with bones in them. They have tons and tons of glycine in it, but it's also those fatty cuts of meat that you love.
That's the best news I've heard all day. That's great. So let's see. So you're saying, of course, it's completely possible that someone for 10 years can eat nothing but meat, some eggs, and maybe a little dairy. I do limit dairy. I don't just go crazy with it. So when people say, oh, well, it's probably all that dairy keeping your calcium up, I really don't have much dairy at all. And when I say dairy, I'm not drinking like glasses of milk. I haven't touched milk, but I'll have a piece of cheese at a party once in a while, So basically, like 99% of my diet is just beef. And you're like, yeah, of course you're thriving. Scientifically, it makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's nothing that you're missing. And I have a lot of charts I post on my Instagram, which will show the nutrients in meat. If you do when I took my very first university course, when I was at UBC, fresh out of high school, I took my very first nutrition class. And the first thing our teacher said in the first lesson was all of the most bioavailable nutrients are in animal foods. And I was vegetarian, and I was like, oh, that's a bummer. But now looking back at it, I mean, it's a scientific fact. All the most bioavailable nutrients are in animal foods, and especially beef. They are so much higher than in plant foods, and you also, are able to absorb them much more easily when you get them from animal foods and from beef, especially.
It's so weird. Like, I've lived this and felt it for a decade. I know that when I cut out those last vegetables, I felt better. I know that I looked better. I know that I just had better energy. But to actually hear someone say, it gets me just a little like, Like, so this confirmation that you heard it in a real classroom and that you're studying biochemistry and it supports it, that's magical. What a cool thing to hear, even though, my own feelings were enough to keep me going. Because I'm not going to do, but when the world is throwing things at you, like you need to eat your colors, eat the rainbow, you need to have fiber, how are you even still alive? Just wait, you're going to die of this, you're going to die of that. It wears you down sometimes.
Yeah.
So then to have someone that I respect, like I do you, to come in and say, look, scientifically, you're on the right track, babe. This not just in your head. You really do feel better. So do you think it's possible? All right, so you say, yes, it's completely possible that you're getting everything you need from beef. Do you think it's possible that vegetables could actually do some people more harm than good? People will say to me, why don't you eat vegetables? Aren't they could be even better for you?
Yeah, so this is where I always leave it open to people, and I say, to me, the only crime that plant foods cause is that they displace meat from the plate. They displace some nutrients, because if someone chooses to eat a big salad because they think that's the healthiest thing. I had a woman hop on a live video the other day and she's like, I went plant-based to help my hormones. And I was like, but why? You are displacing the foods you actually need to balance your hormones. So all of our hormones in our body are made out of either protein or fat. They're either peptide-based or they're steroid-based. And they're from cholesterol. So if you want to have oodles of healthy hormones, you need to eat protein and fat. So the only thing I have against plants is if someone will just eat a big salad that maybe just has like some nuts and things in it and dressing, then they're just getting plants and oil. They're not getting the protein and fat that your body needs. But if you instead prioritize on your plate should always prioritize protein and then add fat. Add vegetables if you like them for texture, flavor, and variety. They do have some nutrients in them, but it's a small amount. And there are some people who are sensitive. It's very easy to look up things like nightshades. There are compounds in those that cause people all kinds of inflammation, back pain. If your liver is not good at detoxifying, if it's been overburdened, there are anti-nutrients in plants that can cause autoimmune reactions. So, to me, it's all about layers. Like, if you are dealing with health issues or something in your life that you want to resolve, then you can do this as an elimination protocol. Just make sure you always prioritize what your body actually needs, which are the essential macronutrients, protein and fat, and then layer on the other things. If you love having avocado with your steak or burgers, if you love having asparagus, if you love having salad, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. For me, I've just lost interest in those foods. Like, I would rather just have another burger patty with an egg or something than like fill up on a bunch of filler food that doesn't make me feel as good. So there are some anti-nutrients. Some people may be sensitive to them, but I don't have a problem with most plants. I do with fruit, but that's a whole different.
Yeah, that's a whole new level, right? Yeah, I do though see, like you, I do see a lot of people who come to our carnivore groups, keto kind of groups, that want to talk through what makes them feel better. And there are actually large amounts of people who say their gut issues were never really resolved until they got rid of the last of the plant matter. So I know that's a thing for some people, but then there are others who keep some plants in and they say, they do okay. My own children, they eat a mostly meat-based diet, but with some vegetables on the side. They seem to be handling it fine. I think they have a lot less metabolic damage than I do, being obese for 25 years, eating junk for 25 years. My kids haven't lived through that. So I think some people can handle it better than others. I I did feel better once I got rid of even that last little tiny bit. But like you, at this point, my mom will still occasionally say, I mean, it wouldn't kill you if you had a green vegetable, would it? Now, if I were to go back to eating like I used to, even she would be like, okay, this carnivore thing is really working for you. You should not.
Right.
Everyone in my life knows that this has been great for me. But moms do like to see a leafy green vegetable once in a while. And she may be right. It might not kill me. But like you, I don't have any desire for that right now. I haven't in 10 years. I haven't missed that at all. I was never much of a vegetable eater in the first place, and I feel great without it, so I don't see why I would go to adding it back. Some people do find that even the smallest amount of carbs from vegetables triggers like compulsive eating, and blood sugar rises a little bit easier with them than other people, so it can lead to cravings, even though you think cravings more associated with like a donut. But plants are going to come closer to doing that, I would think, than a steak. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think people just have like an emotional connection to them. And also, as women, we're always told to eat salads, to keep a trim waistline. And then you get used to volume eating and eating these big salads and, just being able to indulge in all these plant foods and vegetables. And so you get really attached to them. But once you start being really deeply nourished and satisfied from getting your essential needs met, your desire and attraction towards those foods tends to not really be there, because you're like, oh, like, why would I eat a bunch of greens when like some leaves and things when I don't like, so yeah, I think it's an individual choice, and it just depends if you like them or not. But if you're fully healthy, you've no unresolved issues, like, more power to you, enjoy them. But if there are lingering things, like Dr. Paul Saladino, it was his eczema. Like, everything was gone except for his eczema. And you hear that all the time, like everything except for this one last thing. So there's always just a chance that if you tried it for 30 days as an elimination protocol, you could see if it helped with that and then build from there. But just as long as you always prioritize the protein and fat first.
I think you are flipping fabulous. And I am so grateful that you came here to talk through what I think, even for long-term carnivores, we still get some flack about. I don't know, do people still give you a hard time ever about eliminating the vegetables?
Oh, when I first started posting about it, it was pretty intense, like about a year and a half ago. People were just, so I kind of held back from posting too much about it, because I was like, I'm not here to, defend my way of life or anything. And I'm still very, very supportive of keto. I think it's really changed a lot more recently in the last few years. There's just more recognition, awareness about it. So you get the occasional comment like, where are your vegetables, or where's this? And I just, reply back with the science, so that's what is really helpful. And I want more people to know and understand so they can also respond with that.
So at least if people want to eliminate them, you're here to at least bring some science to say, yeah, it's okay, right? It's okay. We're not telling you have to, but we're also telling you there's a reason that we're feeling good. We're getting what we need from our food, and don't just keep waiting for us to fall over dead tomorrow. Like, we're doing okay. It's all right. There's science to support that. And I love you for doing that for me. Vanessa, thank you. And I hope we can chat again in person and have more barbecue together soon.
Me too. It was so much fun. I love you, Kelly. I love how much you're sharing about your story and putting out all these wonderful videos. I look forward to all of them, and I just treasure you as a person. So fun to get to hang out anytime we do.
Thank you. Same to you, Vanessa. Bye. Thanks.